Although technology has indeed made aircraft safer, it cannot remove pilots' propensity to commit errors again and again. Pilots cause almost 80% of airline accidents. The accommodation of imperfection has only perpetuated the imperfection. It has not removed the threat. The American Airlines 965 crash into the mountains in Cali, Colombia was not just the result of navigational errors, but self-induced pressure to complete the mission in spite of the errors that were happening. Post 9/11, the designers of cockpit doors never imagined that they would have to protect passengers from suicidal pilots. AirAsia Flight 8501 was precipitated by a captain who deviated from standard procedures by pulling circuit breakers in flight. And finally, a Pakistani Airlines captain with a history of unstabilized approaches had succumbed to continuation bias, clouding his judgment to such an extent that the impossible seemed possible. EASA, the European Aviation Safety Agency, just came out with a report and finding in June that they were actually discontinuing a study on the possibility of having single pilot operations of cargo aircraft because the technologies were not advanced enough and the human factors elements were also too complex to even consider at this point. What they're really saying is we don't want to consider the operation of aircraft autonomously without a human at all, because if we did, it wouldn't even require such studies. So, if we do nothing, what can we look forward to? Unfortunately, more of the same. Human factors continuing to plague the aviation industry. The good news is that some aviation companies have already embraced the technology when a pilot becomes incapacitated. A passenger need only push a button and air traffic control is advised and the plane lands on its own. Here's the truth. Although more reliable systems without humans are already at work, whole industries, government agencies, and even law firms depend on pilots being involved, not just for flying, but for failing. Liability law thrives on human error. Billions of dollars are tied to lawsuits, investigations, and regulations that only exist because pilots keep making mistakes. Government agencies spend incredible amounts of money and manpower investigating crashes, the majority of which are still caused by humans. Flight training and salaries also cost companies billions. It would certainly be a paradigm shift, not just in how we fly, but also in how we live. Over 10% of the world's population relies on the transportation industry in order to survive, thrive, work, and live. Are pilots indispensable? Pilot unions will tell you, absolutely. But of course, their existence depends on maintaining the status quo. There is a term that pilots use called continuation bias, which means sticking with a flawed plan, even when the warning signs appear. So, do we keep designing aircraft around human fallibility, building systems to protect us from ourselves? Or do we finally choose to remove the threat altogether? If there's one thing that 100 years of accident statistics have taught us, it's this. Systems, no matter how good, will not stop human factors from plaguing the industry. The data is overwhelming. Human error dominates. According to the Global Aviation Safety Studies by the NTSB, ICAO, and Boeing's own annual safety reviews, almost 80% of all commercial airline accidents are being caused by pilots. What do you think? Let me know.